You are now listening to
Ombudsman Radio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second edition of Investigative Tidbits under the Breakfast Show. Are you ready to dig into the nitty gritty of some Nigeria's most pressing issues? All right, buckle up because this show will be taking a deep dive into the current events, unraveling complexities, and bringing you stories that matter. We'll be talking to experts and we'll love to hear your voice via our social media platforms. And most importantly, shedding light on the truth. So grab your cup of coffee or something a little bit stronger because on this investigative tidbit, we're about to get curious.
My name is Abimbola Yusuf, Chief Commissioner Public Complaints Commission. Please stay tuned. There's more to come.
Welcome back from that short break. Today, we'll be diving into the world of the Public Complaints Commission, also known as the PCC. The Public Complaints Commission is the machinery for the control of administrative excesses. It is an organ of the government set up to redress complaints lodged by aggrieved citizens or residents in Nigeria against administrative injustice. I am your host, Miracle Obi, and joining me in the studio again is Mr. Okoro Anicho, Assistant Director, Investigative Department. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
It's good to have you again on the show.
Thank you so much.
Also joining us today, we have Dofan Lewis. Help me with the last pronunciation. Iyekpen. All right, so we have Dofan Lewis Iyekpen. You're welcome to the show, ma'am.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so before we dive into cases, I want to ask Mr. Okoro, could you please explain the mandate and the role of the Public Complaints Commission?
Thank you, Miracle. The role of the Public Complaints Commission is just very clear.
Okay.
And it is in tandem with the mandate. Generally, for you to play a very important role or to achieve certain objectives or vision, definitely there must be a mandate.
True.
And you should understand that mandate itself, I see it as an order. I see it as an authority.
Okay.
I see it as an approval or even as a commission for someone to do something or for an organization to achieve certain objectives.
Okay.
That is what mandate is.
Okay.
But if you look at most institutions, it is only when an institution understands its mandate, that is when it can be able to design a kind of mission statements that will enable it achieve the maximum objective of the vision for the organization.
Okay.
Now, in the Public Complaints Commission, the commission, we already know that it is established by the House of the Parliament and it has mandates. And in the commission, the mandate states to us, and I quote, to promote efficient and effective service that is responsible and responsive to the needs of the citizenry through investigation, resolution of complaints against federal, state, local governments, public corporations, private organizations, and their officials. So when you look at this mission, it shows that the commission is working in the right perspective. Because if you look at that phrase there, which says that it is responsible, and more importantly, responsive to the needs of the citizenry, it is just a phrase that shows that the commission is actually positioned to ensure social justice for all.
Okay.
For all Nigerians, and also those resident in Nigeria, more especially by providing option to seek redress against injustice, which may be arising from bureaucratic errors, commission or abuse of office by government officials, and also the limited liability companies. These are the roles, and they are all drawn. It's just because the commission knows what actually her mandate is. That was why the commission had to do what? Work on the mandate through her mission statement to ensure that they achieve the vision. Not only that, the commission play important role, especially in improving public administration in the laws, practices, procedures. Not only that, standard behavior of public officers in both the public and in the private sector. Very important.
Okay.
Because these are the areas, it is these public officers that do what? Cause one bureaucratic error or the other. Even they will deviate from the normal practices for maybe personal gains. And by so doing, problem of diverse nature will do what? Will set in. The commission play another important role in providing impartial investigation, more especially on behalf of the complainant who is aggrieved as a result of the action or inaction of government.
Okay.
Or public sector companies. So in such, by doing that, the commission will always do what? Give succor to the less privileged. Because by providing option means that there are some that cannot afford the money to go to court. So
yes.
They have the public complaints commission.
to
These
come
are
to-
the roles. You know. Now these roles are the ones that give rise to the mandate. Because without the mandate, you are not empowered, you are not authorized, you are not having any approval to carry out any of these roles or functions.
Okay.
Now, if you look at the mandate of the commission is very simple. One, the first mandate says, although the commission has a lot of them,
Okay.
but I don't think if we start to talk about the entire mandates of this commission, it will take the whole of today. If you look at the Act, Section 5, subsection 2 is very, very simple and clear. It says it empowers the chief commissioner and the other commissioners in the various states to carry out investigation either in their own initiative or following complaints lodged by Nigerians or those resident in Nigeria.
Okay.
That power enabled them to do both proactive investigation or initiate the complaint on their own. Now, for instance, the commission a staff of the commission or the commissioner or the chief commissioner may be passing and discover an anomaly. His duty is just to draw the attention of the organization whose responsibility is to right that very wrong.
Okay.
So immediately he drew the attention of the agency. Simple, he has done his own bit. The next thing he will do is just a follow-up to make sure that the situation is put in the right perspective.
Okay.
I know one day I was traveling from Lagos to Abia. I discovered containers scattered all over the road. within me, I said, oh, these containers scattered here and there, strategic corners, can be able to cause accident, more especially at night.
That's true.
While I was coming back, I put a call across to the Abia Commissioner. I told him, this is my experience in Abeokuta. That I will appreciate it if he will put a call across to his counterpart that is in charge of that area, so that they will do the needful. He called his counterpart, and his counterpart notified the road safety corps in that area. And they made arrangement before it was evening to remove all those containers. These are complaints the commissioner has initiated on his own. Then other ones are the ones received from aggrieved persons. It may be a multinational company complaining against a staff. Okay. It may be a staff complaining against a multinational. Vice versa. In the civil service, the same thing. So, in that case, the commissioner will now investigate a complaint that is lodged before him. And address it.
Thank you very much, sir.
Now, in the area of conducting research in MDAs, the commission focuses its research on these MDAs and the public sector, private sector, in the area of maladministration. Okay. And the essence is to ensure compliance to Labor Act and statutory instruments governing administration. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I was going to ask, did you peep into my script, because you're already answering some of my questions? But nevertheless, I'll still ask some of those questions when the time comes.
No
did you peep into
problem.
My script, sir?
No, not at all.
All right, so
not at all.
Mrs. Dofan, do you have anything to say about the mandates before we dive into the cases for today?
Okay, yeah, I'll just touch on a particular one.
Briefly touch,
yes. All right. Which is actually very unique.
Okay.
Yes, and it's the mandate to investigate the administrative procedures in the court of law.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so that's really an aspect that the citizenry of Nigerians of Nigeria, are not really aware of. Wow. Yeah, so like I said, and as the name implies, the administrative procedures in courts. Yeah, so when you go to the court of law, of course, it's being fashioned in 3 stages, which is the pre-trial stage, and then the hearing stage, and also the post-trial stage. And we could see procedures, like I said, the processes in all these stages. And so it's left to the ombudsman. Now we use the ombudsman, which is also an alias for an officer that is working in the Public Complaints Commission. Okay. Since we are narrowing it down to Nigeria.
Sure.
Yeah, so I can use interchangeably. I'll use the ombudsman, or I'll use maybe an investigator, or I'll just use the PCC or the commissioner. So whichever one, we just know that we are saying the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have issues of, cases getting missing in the court of law. In excessive, adjournments in the court of law. You know that it's a simple case, and then it's meant to be adjourned, and you know that it takes a particular process, and then it's meant to be resolved at that moment.
Okay.
But you see that they just keep adjourning with no just cause or no just reason. So the Public Complaints Commission goes into that to check those excesses and tries as much as possible to curb those excesses. And it's actually a whole lot. Now, another interesting one is, because I like Mr. Okoro said, diving into it and then going into the nitty-gritties of it will really take time. So like you said, I'll just be very brief about it. Mm-hmm. Then another thing is also the recommendation part of it. Now, the Public Complaints Commission has that very salient power to recommend cases. Now, you could ask...
If I may, if I may interject here a bit.
Yes, sir.
If I may interject here a bit,
yes,
we need to put this thing straight to our listeners.
Okay.
That investigation of administrative procedures in the court of law.
Yes.
You know, is embedded in Section 5, subsection 3E of the PCC Act. You see, one thing we need to understand there is that the Commission has done a lot to enlighten Nigerians, more especially the court users. Nigeria has done a lot. I mean, the PCC has done a lot to educate them on their rights. On their rights. Because you need to know your right in this country so that nobody will maneuver or manipulate you.
That's true.
So now, when it comes to the court of law, you know, she mentioned the 3 main stages narrowed down by the commission to enable the commission, you know, separate the activities. You know, there are different types of courts. You understand? And there are rules governing the courts. Now, when you look at a particular court, for instance, let's say the magistrate court, the court has its own rule. The High Court has its own rule. More especially when it comes to filing and processes. Filing and processes, very important. It takes different shapes in the different courts. The court has its own status. Then the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now, when there is a departure from the rule of a particular court, when it comes to filing and also processes, automatically administrative injustice has set in. Are you understanding me?
Yeah.
So at times, a case file is supposed to be in the case list. You discover that it will not be there. At times, the DPP may be expected to present its report before the hearing. At times, police may not be able to conclude their investigation on time. These are loopholes that creates room for administrative injustice in the court. Thank you so much.
All right, so we've heard about the administrative procedure in the court of law. And then by our next episode, we'll have some cases from the court of law. Yes. And so we're going to go on a very short break. And when we come back, we'll dive right into our cases for today.
You are now listening to
Ombudsman Radio.
Right, welcome back from that short break. We'll dive right into the cases. We have about 3 cases for today, if time will permit. We'll dissect these cases. All right, so the first case I have here is report on poor sanitary condition of toilets in the OPD Center or Specialist Hospital, Yola. And I'll read out the case. On receipt of the complaint about the unhealthy state of the outpatient department of the Specialist Hospital Yola, a team of investigators were deployed to conduct an on-the-spot investigation. On-the-spot investigation revealed that the condition of the toilets in the OPD department of the Specialist Hospital Yola was terrible, with bad odor polluting the environment and its health hazard to the patients. The commission called the attention of the management of the hospital to take measures immediately as the situation was a threat to the public health. On receipt of the commission's letter, the hospital management took action as recommended and thereafter invited the commission's official to inspect the entire premises of the hospital. During the visit, the chief medical director and key staff took the team round the hospital to see firsthand how clean and hygienic the environment has become. The development led to commission finally writing to the Specialist Hospital, Yola, and commended its response to the complaints and further encouraged them to double their efforts in providing the much needed quality service in other areas of the hospital, areas of the mandate. So this is the case we have today. Quite an interesting one, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to direct this question to Ms. Dufan. How does the Public Complaints Commission become aware of issues that need attention? Do they take proactive steps to identify and address issues on its own initiative, or does it primarily rely on receiving complaints from the public before investigating and taking actions?
Okay, well, the commission does both ways.
Okay.
Yes, like we established earlier, the commission on its own, yes, initiates cases.
When Mr. Okoro crept into my
Very
question.
well, very well.
Yes.
Initiates cases.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we also entertain cases from the public.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yes.
So, Mr. Okoro, is there anything you want to add about that?
No, she's in order.
She has hit it.
Yes.
Okay, so this is to you, Mr. Okoro. How did the Commission's intervention lead to the improvement of the hospital's sanitation and hygiene?
Yeah, the intervention of the commission drew the attention of the people that matters in that very hospital, because this issue you've raised is very commonly found in most government-owned hospitals.
Exactly.
So the issue is not a strange one. It happens from time to time, and in fact, why this incident immediately it is discovered it can no longer continue is because the eyes of the Public Complaints Commission as the watchdog for social justice will always be there to ensure whether they have stopped, putting the things right, or whether they have even allowed their confidence to continue to deteriorate. Because it can cause health hazard. Places like hospital is a place where the hygiene level should be up to 98%.
Exactly.
So for such thing to happen, it's a misnomer. So normally the commission usually have desk officers in so many organizations.
Okay.
And the commission can as well reach out to their various desk officers, go confirm whether this thing is still in order, is still intact. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
There was a day I visited a friend at one of the federal medical centers. When I was passing through the corridor, I observed a very bad stench. Honestly, you cannot stand there or withstand it for a second.
That must be
I approached the guy I visited. I said, is this in what you people are suffering here? He said, I approached one of the ward mates. I asked her, is this how your confidence look like? As dirty as anything you can think of. She said, they've cleaned it up. That there's nothing they can do. Immediately I get back. The most important thing is that you as a staff will initiate that action on the approval of the Honorable Commissioner in the state or Chief Commissioner in the headquarters. So I told the Commissioner, this is my observation, because the Act had already empowered the Commission to initiate and carry out proactive investigation to make sure most of the anomalies are corrected. So we wrote the Chief Medical Director. Then they swung into action, tidy up everywhere. In fact, the thing now was extended to other conveniences in other wards.
Oh, perfect.
You see, so it was quickly tidied up. They now replied us and asked us to come and re-inspect the premises again.
Just like this case, yes.
I get it. So when we went there, we discovered, the commissioner sent us, we went there, we discovered that they've done the right thing.
But you're actually impressed with what they did.
We were impressed. I will now urge them to keep it up, although we have desk officers in those places. So the desk officer normally gives us report from time to time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. He has shed so much light on how the commission's intervention led to the improvement of that specialist hospital. I want to ask Ms. Dofan, what next step do you think the commission, what next step will the commission take or may have taken to ensure that the specialist hospital continue to maintain the improved standard? Because we know that in some of those hospitals, there could be permit my word, eye service word, yes.
Exactly.
So after the whole investigation and the second supervision, they could just go back to their
They'll
mess.
relax.
Yes. So what next step will the commission take to ensure that they keep up to that standard?
Yes, it's like I think I'll just give an instance.
Okay.
Last year, there was an ongoing project that we had, which was termed proactive investigation. Now I happen to be in the desk officer for the what's the name of this hospital again? General Hospital Kubwa. Yes, and we got to see some excesses there. Now you're talking about how how it's going to be maintained. That way, sanity or whatever is going to be maintained, and like we said, growing up then, when you're, like you mentioned the word eye service, growing up there, when you're doing something, maybe in the confines of your home and all of that, and then say daddy is coming, everybody's,
On their toes.
yeah, on their toes, and then you want to be in check.
Exactly.
So it's the same thing with issues like this that we're talking about. That's why we have desk officers in all these places, that we ensure and follow up on these issues. Now we even got to see not just even the toilets and the convenience issue. Now we even see service delivery. Now we got to see queues, and I'm like, Kubwa, up till now, you are still running an analog kind of service. You have hospitals that have already stepped up and already upped their game. When it comes to that, I know you just you don't really have the physical cards anymore. Yeah, then you just have numbers. Then you come, they take your vitals, they post you. Before you even get there, your number has been posted, and it just makes the whole process very easy. So the queue was alarming, and I could see that I got to the hospital then. This was around 6:30, and I saw somebody that was still on the queue till 2 p.m. Yeah, and we had to draw. Myself and my partner that were there, we had to draw the attention of the chief medical officer. Now, it now made the whole process very easy. So they had to, employ more, engage the services of more doctors, even doctors that were not on call. They had to call them in, and all of that. So it's very good that we have desk officers there that will follow up on these issues. Even sometimes you also have, like we said, proactive. We also send officers there also. That sometimes we just send them unawares, and those people are unaware. Yeah, we just send them, please.
Like
this case, yes, go and check. Have they been working on it? Have they been following up on this issue? And all of that. And then when somebody knows that there's an enforcer around, you will try to sit up, and you also try to, and then the antecedents of the commission. Yes, so they know that, and the integrity of the commission. You know that, okay, this is what the commission has been doing, and so it is good to follow suit. And it's good to also listen to what they have, or rather do according to what they have advised. And like we said, the commission is not just an enforcer, but also an advisory, an advisory body. So it advises you. And then another thing is manner of approach. Now the commission doesn't force anything on you. Yes, the way it's being done and the way they advise you, be like, okay, no, this is actually the right thing that should be done, and I think I should do this, I should go this way. Yeah, I think that's what we do.
Okay, it's amazing to know that there are desk officers in the 36 states, right?
Very well.
Okay.
And even the local government.
And the local governments,
Yes.
the PCC is doing a lot.
Yes.
The PCC is doing a lot, and that's why we want the public to know what they are doing and then take advantage of what they are doing. Sir, Mr. Okoro, I want to ask, what message would you like to convey to citizens who may be facing similar issues in other public hospitals or institutions? Because as you said, it's a common case. You can find this in most hospitals. So what message would you want to convey to citizens who may be facing this same problem?
Yes, thank you, Miracle. The Public Complaints Commission is there.
Okay.
Just report to the Public Complaints Commission.
Just report to the PCC.
To the PCC.
Exactly.
And that is all about it. Because if you go as an individual to report to any of the authorities there, they may not listen to you.
Yeah.
That is the Nigerian factor.
Exactly.
They may not listen to you. But when the commission steps into such matter, people who are supposed to perform that duties will be on their toes. Because not only it must definitely attract query to them if the commission steps into the matter. You know, there is this laissez-faire attitude in most government institutions when it comes to delivery or carrying out schedules. Some don't do their work. Some will leave their work for others to do for them. And when others don't do it for them, it becomes a problem. So if anybody is facing such challenge, the person should report to the Public Complaints Commission. The commission can even take it up as a proactive complaint without even mentioning the name of the complainant. Yes, as a proactive, the commission can take it up from that level and then meet the authorities, discuss the issue. Nobody needs to take laws into his hand.
That's true.
The commission is there. Just make your report to the commissioner. The commission will initiate action immediately and the problem will be resolved.
Will be resolved. Thank you so much, Mr. Okoro. So if you listening out there, you experience or you are experiencing something like this, you found your answer, just report to the Public Complaints Commission. You don't need to take the laws into your hands, just report and they will take it up from there. So for instance, if I observe an illegal hazardous waste dump in my vicinity, can I file a case with the commission? And I know my answer is yes. So since it's yes, are there procedures? What are the procedures that are in place for reporting environmental hazard?
Yes, it has no procedure.
Oh, it has no procedure.
At times, the commission initiates a proactive case when it comes to such matters. The commissioner or chief commissioner may stumble on a refuse heap, occupying 2/3 of the road.
It happens. It
may make movement difficult, and there will definitely be traffic. The commissioner, without even opening a file, can call on the managing director of the Environmental Protection Agency immediately and tell him, this is what you were employed to do. And look at the mess it is causing hazard it is causing to the society. That you need to evacuate this very mess within a very short period of time. That alone takes care of it, because it can cost the manager his job.
That's true.
It can cost him his job. I've seen it happen, because from before I came to this place, we have handled so many issues of refuse dump. Occupying the major roads, polluting the atmosphere. And pollution is very dangerous to human health. And we don't even need it at all. It makes that area uncomfortable for the inhabitants.
Exactly.
So definitely it needs to be removed. And the authorities responsible for doing that will always be contacted and they will do their job. The commission will always be on their neck. I know in some situations where it has cost the managers their job. And contractors were pulled out from the assignment. New ones were recruited and were asked to evacuate refuse within 48 hours. And definitely it will be done.
It was done. Thank you so much. This is an interesting case, and I'm sure we have learned from this. We've learned a lot. We'll be going on a very short break, and when we come back, we will dive into the case too. right, welcome back from that short break. The case 2 is an appeal for assistance to recover money. I'll read out this case. This complaint was lodged before the commission by one Mrs. OI against Mrs. UN, who fronted for a purportedly faceless saving loan firm over a breach of trust and conspiracy. According to Mrs. OI, she was lured into depositing the sum of 50,000 naira only to this faceless saving and loan firm, which she claimed was to double in 12 months. On the other hand, the respondent averred that the deposited sum was on stipulated and automated frequency schedule at every January at 10% interest rate that cannot be altered. She stated further that even if the complainant offered her money as it were, the investment will commence in few months with a maturity date being fixed at an accumulated interest rate of 120,000 naira. She further alleged that the creditor goes with 20,000 naira only benefits, whereas the capital and the accrued interest were shared or reinvested by both complainant and respondent. At this juncture, with two opposing narratives, it became obvious that the issues were joined and the commission opted for a case chart. Both parties were invited to come along with documentary evidence to support their claims. After a careful cross-examination of the detail, the meeting resolved that the initial sum of 50,000 naira be deposited 50,000 naira deposited be returned to Mrs. OI, and a memorandum was issued stating that 1. Mrs. OI, who is the complainant, had accepted to take back her initial principal deposit from Mrs. UN, which is 50,000 naira, and Mrs. UN shall pay the said deposit of 50,000 naira on 2 installments. On this note, both parties were satisfied and appended their various signatures to the memorandum and parted on a happy note. A few weeks into the agreement, the complainant wrote to the commission in appreciation, having received the first installment. Yes, this is the case, and we'll see this case in small circles and small group.
Yes.
Some other words, they will call it
Exactly.
adashe.
You're right.
So we see this case over and over. It comes over and over. Mr. Okoro, can you walk us through the complaint lodged by Mrs. OI against Mrs. UN and the saving loan firm? What were their main allegations?
Now, from what you've read, there are two different issues.
Okay.
One is that the company is a faceless one.
Yes, faceless.
The company
savings.
is not a registered one.
Yes.
So it is even a crime for the respondent to, collect monies from people under a faceless company.
That's true.
And on the other way around, on the other hand, the complainant is saying that at the end of every year, the money will be doubled. But the respondent is saying that the entire deal was automated for 10% interest at the end of every year.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at the entire scenario, you discover that there is no agreement. And there is no understanding.
Let's say
That
they had
is
their
legal.
own agreements, but there was no understanding.
It was on utmost good faith. It was on utmost good faith because this type of transaction are supposed to be documented. Are you understanding me? So, for the complainant to be convinced by the respondent who run a faceless company thrift and loan scheme for her to be contributing 50,000
Yes.
with the expectation that he will get 100% of that money after 1 year is very, very wrong. It's very, very wrong. So what the commissioner did was right to secure the principal amount the complainant has invested.
Yes.
And after it is secured, any other thing is the complainant's words against that of the respondent. That is the wisdom in that very matter. Because there is no evidence the commission can say, let us hold this, that this is the agreement reached between these two parties. The agreement was based on hearsay.
It could be verbal.
Yes. Yes.
Verbal agreements are acceptable to a reasonable extent, provided there is a substantial witness.
Okay, that's true.
Are you understanding me? It is just her own words again, because it was only both of them,
Both of them, yes.
Yes.
that had the
agreement.
transaction. And the transaction happened to be a very bad one. On the part of the respondent, the commission equally have the right to prosecute her. Report her to the appropriate agency for prosecution. Because there is no way, it means what she was doing was just to defraud Nigerian citizens. Anybody that comes across her way, she will defraud the person. That is the fraud. How can I enter an agreement with you, verbal agreement between two of us, in the absence of any witness? Are you understanding the game? That you will collect 100% of this amount you have deposited at the end of the year. And when the year ended, you were unable to pay, you now tell him or her that it is 10% of that amount.
Interest. That's very dubious. Mrs. Dofa, if we leave Mr. Okoro, he's going to get into my next question and get to the other question. So I'm going to ask you, Mar, could you tell us how the commission investigated into this case, as it involved breach of trust and conspiracy? What were the key findings? Mr. Okoro has touched a little bit of that.
Already.
Yes, so can you just complete it? What were their key findings?
Well, you see, when it comes to, money doubling and all of that, people they don't really sit down to really
Think.
weigh the pros and cons.
Yes.
Do you understand? They
Yeah.
just feel it's about money, it's going to be doubled, and everything. They don't really think about the long run of how it's going to look like, or how it's going to turn out. So they just blindly go into some things. And then sometimes when there are some terms that are being laid down before you, you're meant to critically check those terms and then really know, even if it's being said to you verbally, you critically really think about those terms and really know if it's something that is feasible and can be reached. Do you understand?
Yes.
You really need to know if those things, if it's actually possible. But some people just feel like, okay, no, it's, when you start reading that case, I had to underline the word lured. That
Yes.
they lured
Lured.
her.
Yes.
So did anybody put a gun to your head to send the money? Issues like this, you need to always, try as much as possible to x-ray them and then know what they're all about. I know if it's something that I need to dip my 2 feet into. Now, like you rightly said, there was a case conference that was actually reached. Now, the case conference is like a tripartite meeting between the respondents, the complainants, and then the commission itself. So, like we established earlier, the Public Complaints Commission has that reconciliatory power and has that reconciliatory nature. Now, we're not coercing you. Now, sometimes when we receive complaints, now we don't, at first, why we try to investigate is that complaint might actually be false.
You are right.
Yes, it might
You are
actually
right.
be false.
You are
So
right.
we need to investigate to really know, down to its conclusion, to really know if this is actually viable, or rather this is actually true. So we need to know all of that. Now, this is also a good opportunity for both parties to come physically. Now, before you know that, okay, even if I entertain a case, I'm going to write and then write maybe to the respondent, okay, this case has been brought forward, has been brought to my notice. Now, or rather against your commission or against you. Now you have the liberty to actually, respond to that case, whether it's true or false. Now, the case conference is a very lovely avenue where everybody sits physically and we are seeing ourselves eyeball to eyeball. Now, nobody in its essence can actually, lie. Because now in your letter, if I'm writing to you and it's faceless, I can't see you. You could just, jumble some words and then write. But now I'm seeing you, and I've already reached an agreement with this person that we're talking about. And then this is also a body that I know that they have a check on me. So I already know that, okay, at least to an extent, even 80% I should bring the truth into the whole matter. So the case conference was just an avenue to really see that, okay, even if this is that, give this woman her principal amount. Yes, even possible that they would have even charged her for what's this word again? For keeping my money for a very long time. There's this word that they call it.
Charges.
Maybe charges or maybe compensation.
Yes,
That's the word.
yes.
Yes, compensating her for leaving that money at that time and then not paying her what was agreed upon.
Exactly.
But like we said, there's no evidence to really show, even if they brought their documentary evidence to show that, okay, there was a transfer done, or maybe even if there was an MOU or something, it wasn't reached. That's the bone of contention. It wasn't reached. That agreement wasn't reached. So yes, that was how the commission got to see that this issue can be handled.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ms. Dauphin. I want to ask Mr. Okoro, what measures were put in place to prevent future disputes from the commission? What measure did the commission itself put in place to...
This very issue is very difficult to stop.
Exactly.
It's very difficult to stop because you don't know what goes on in the mind of people. Some are dubious. So when this type of issue comes up, the next thing I had expected the commissioner to do is to hand the respondent over to the police. Let the respondent serve as a deterrent to others. So when people see how the commission handled it, they will know that when issues of such magnitude comes up next time, and the commission handled it, that the respondent must definitely be handed over to the police. Okay. I think that is the only way it can be stopped.
So how does this resolved case demonstrate the effectiveness of the Public Complaints Commission in resolving disputes and promoting accountability?
Okay. In fact, the commission played a very important role there, because if you look at the complainant was already aggrieved.
Yes.
And the option there left for her is the Public Complaints Commission. She assessed the services, and then the commission waded into the matter, investigated it, and discovered that the woman was running an illegal business. And from that point, the commission made sure that the complainant's capital or principal was secured. It has saved the complainant from taking the laws into his or her hands. Because money matter these days. Nobody laughs at issues involving money these days because of the high level of hardship.
Exactly.
So what she did was right to assess the services of the commission, and the commission did her own very best to secure justice for her after investigation. I remember in that very matter there was a case chart.
Yes.
In the case chart, the commission may decide to invite only the complainant when they want to get more information. The commission may decide to invite only the respondent for the same purpose. The commission may choose to invite both of them. Are you understanding it?
Yes.
So the case chart is very, very important. It was at that point, when somebody is talking, you look at his face. You know when you can discern. You can discern when the person is telling you lies.
Yes.
And again, there is no agreement, talk less of hidden clause in the agreement. So the matter the commissioner handled it was very, very good. And that was why the complainant left happily, because she has secured part of his money. Remember, because it is a faceless thrift and loan scheme, when the commission decided that the principal must be refunded, the respondent was unable to provide the total sum.
Exactly. That's why
that was why the commission now weighed into a second option to divide the sum into two, because the commission believed that they are into resolving a matter that will maybe tomorrow further their relationship, the relationship between the complainant and the respondent. So the commission now made it easier for the respondent to refund the complainant, and it was acceptable to the complainant. And immediately the complainant got the first installment refunded. She wrote a letter of appreciation to the commission with the hope that the second portion will be paid.
Awesome stuff. This is going to be our last question for this episode, and then I will direct this question to Ms. Dofan. What lesson can be learned from this case? 2 questions. What lesson can be learned, and then how can they avoid similar situation in the future?
All right, it's the lesson that can be deduced from this is going into proper agreements.
Proper agreement.
Yes.
So it guides you
Very important.
into
when you say proper agreement, what do you mean
written
to the layman? Because
the layman,
yes,
it could
someone
be
on the street, someone selling, someone hawking.
So I'm having a transaction with somebody.
Okay.
Yes, or I'm having whatever. It should be written. Even if it should be written. There should be something. So now I'm not talking about the whole thing. I'm not talking about the type that you have, making it so ambiguous. Now I have sent a particular money to this person. Write it down. It should be documented. Now all those transactions that you've sent, sometimes we just base some certain things on trust because of the relationship that we have with people.
That's true.
Forgetting how tomorrow is going to play.
True.
So let's just take cognizance of that. Having all those things. I remember a complaint that I treated. It was still the same thing on breach of trust. And it was an elderly man. And when he came, he brought one paper like that. And you saw how the paper was so all squeezed and everything. But that is enough evidence. Yes, he wrote the dates when he made that transaction, and all of that. And it was itemized it. Yes, it was itemized, and all of that. Yes. So even if need be, you also thank God you sometimes you could see that those places they are also physical. So you could go there and tell the person, please sign. It should also be receipted, if possible. Even if I make payments and then you also acknowledge them, it should also be receipted. It also goes a long way, to make it, to ease the work and then make all the stresses and everything very easy. Now, the B part of your question, you said to avoid.
Yes.
To be honest, totally, like what Mr. Okoro said, is unavoidable. To be honest, to an extent, it can be curbed a bit. It's just like talking about poverty. No, not just poverty when it comes to money, but knowledge. So when you hear eradicate poverty, it's not possible to an extent. So when it comes to this, people will say, no, I cannot be a victim of this anymore. Now, if it's not really, people just come with different schemes. I remember when MMM came. People were rushing, and all of that. And then later it came in a very different way. I think he was, what's his name again? He had so many aliases then. And somehow, if you check very deep and you investigate, it was the same person that actually brought MMM. that did that. So,
Yes.
we need to look out, be on the lookout for all these things. So even if it comes in a certain way, it might not come that same way in a different, in another situation. So we need to be very careful. And like the Public Complaints Commission, I think that is something they really need to work on. Yeah, they are also saddled with the responsibility and the mandate of making public reports. Yes, when you see that there's a particular thing that is wrong and the way it's being carried out and the way it's being done, you're not comfortable with it, call a press conference. Talk about these things. Go out there, market squares, all those places, talk to people.
So that they get to know about it.
Get to know about it, yes. Try as much as possible to enlighten them, in, like you said, the layman. You could use languages. Yes, there's a way you can, communicate to them and all of that. Do pamphlets, do all those things, put them somewhere, and all this is because you already know where to run to if such a thing happens. And then also the steps to take when dealing with this kind of an issue, so that it makes it very easy. Then, another thing I will need to add is, I'm sure the public, I think most of, let's say maybe on a stats or on a scale of 100, let's say it's just 50 that will know. Now, Public Complaints Commission, our services are free.
Services are free.
Services are free. Your case can also be lodged anonymously.
Okay.
Yes, it's not a must. Now it can be faceless. Just the same faceless issue that we're talking about. It can be faceless. Now we know how to go about it. Yes, when we're investigating, we don't need to say this person brought it, and all of that. We could just say, we already got feelers that such a thing is happening and all of that, because you've also provided us with enough evidence to really see that this actually took place.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am, for your contributions and your comments. You can leave them on our social media platform. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube using Ombudsman Radio Nigeria. On X, follow us on Public Complaints Commission, Ombudsman Radio Nigeria. On WhatsApp, you can reach us on 070-733-7450. I repeat that again, 070-733-314540. Or you download our app on via Play Store on Ombudsman Radio. You can also listen to us from Zeno app, Zeno FM, yes, by searching for Ombudsman Radio. And that's all the time we have for today's episode on Investigative Tidbits. We hope you have found our discussion insightful and informative. The work of the Public Complaints Commission is crucial in ensuring justice and fairness for everyone, and your engagement is a vital part of this process. If you have any feedback or experience or suggestions for the future episode, please do not hesitate to reach out to us on all our social media platforms, as I have called out. Yes, and we'll continue on our journey of the heart of justice. I remain Miracle Obi, your host for Investigative Tidbits, and it's a pleasure having you, Mr. Okoro. Anicho, I won't forget that name.
Thank you very
It's a
much.
pleasure having you in the studio, and then it's also a pleasure having you, Miss Dofran Lewis,
Thank you.
to the studio. It's been a wonderful section. You've been listening to Investigative Tidbits on Ombudsman Radio. Stay tuned for more interesting and engaging programs. Until next time, take care of yourself and stay informed. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Glory Ukwinga of Africana League Development Initiative. You're listening to Ombudsman Radio.